thought patterns and changing your paradigm. And tonight, it's about homosexuality, pedophilia, hip hop, and African Bambaataa. Now, tonight on Black Star Kickback, the discussion is pedophilia, accusations that's been made against African Bambaataa, the pedophilia in the hip hop community, and the connections between pedophilia and homosexuality. Um, this is a real big blow to the hip hop culture. I guess you want to say the whole pyramid of the hip hop. African Bambaataa was one of the originators, one of the founders, as a matter of fact. So this is a big blow. So to start everything out, it was four people that basically came to the forefront on basically delivering this information out so far. Before we go ahead and go into those four people, I want the panel to give me their opinion about the news and what was their thoughts about it, or are they surprised, or is it something from left field that's unexpected? It was unexpected for me, but like I say, I'm here in Chicago, so I don't know if a lot of brothers and sisters maybe from New York that already knew about it. So I just want to get the opinions for right now, and then we're gonna go into the actual four people, and then also a couple other things that we had did a little research on as far as the homosexuality and pedophilia. I yield the panel to anybody that want to start off with something that they had researched or have their thoughts about the whole situation.
I thought, well, I don't know much about Afrika Bambaataa. I've listened to a few of his albums, but I wasn't raised on hip hop, so the name didn't mean very much to me. But I thought that it was interesting that this was coming so soon after Bill Cosby's win against the accusers of his supposed sexual abuse. So um, I'm not really sure what to make of it. I'm not sure what to make of the claims that have been made against him, but it's interesting.
So you think this is something far out? You
Um,
think this was a planned thing, or you think this was structured?
well, from what I've recently learned about the interviewer, his name is Troy Terrain, the man who did the interviews with all of the alleged victims. He has an axe to grind against Zulu Nation. So if he if these supposed accounts were fake, he would have a reason to be involved. And with the amount of uh, community activism that Zulu Nation is involved with, and their heavy influence in the community, it with all of what's going on with the resurgence of the Black Pride movement and Black nationalism and Black and Pan-Africanism, it's interesting that this all of a sudden has to come out.
So with the whole uh, Bill Cosby thing, as far as them attacking a certain imagery or symbol that a lot of black people, or us, we grew up to Bill Cosby. So you think that after that one was lost, that they had to come up with something as far as to make sure they attack a head figure of something that we but fuck that, I'm all about everybody taking their motherfucking accountability on this, cause ain't no motherfucking white person whispering his ear to go tell him to go around and suck some dick and shit. Let's be real about this, we gotta be real.
Well, there are a number of pedophiles, white people. I mean, there was that whole thing with that the producer of, I think the latest was that show, that movie, the robot, um Transformers. There were claims made against him regarding pedophilia against little boys, but
Whoa.
that was not made much out of. They didn't make much out of that, and then it just quietly disappeared. But in the case of Bill Cosby and Afrika Bambaataa, maybe they don't have the connections that this person had, or maybe that producer was innocent. I don't know, but there were, I believe, 4 to 6 different people that came forward with accusations of sexual abuse by him when they were children during the 80s and 90s. And there are several others, so it's not as if Hollywood doesn't have issues of sexual abuse, but when it comes to black people being accused of sexual abuse, it's harder for them to get out of it.
Peace, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can as well. I can hear you.
Okay, I apologize.
That's fine.
Man, me personally, I don't. I haven't. I don't have the information about the allegations brought forth against African Bambaataa. And it's interesting how most of us don't have all the information, specifically because it's coming from suspected racists. Not saying that they always lie about things, but I'm always suspicious of their ass. But specifically, we ain't got all the goddamn information, and it goes from courthouse to public opinion when there's no kind of cross-referencing of any kind of evidence and shit, and we just have conversations about these things that are pretty much baseless, or the only basis we have is what white people report to us. I'm suspicious of that.
Well, as I said, Troy Terrain has an axe to grind against Zulu Nation. He had made some inflammatory remarks against DJ Envy of Hot 97, and had even made sexual comments, where he said he would perform deviant sexual acts on DJ Envy's 4-year-old daughter, and offered $500 to anyone who would tell him where DJ Envy's daughter attended school. He also made racist and inflammatory remarks against DJ Envy's wife. The Zulu Nation was integral in making sure that he got fired and arrested from. He was fired from Hot 97, then he was arrested and charged with endangering welfare of a child. So it's just interesting that he makes predatory remarks against a 4-year-old, and then goes on to interview alleged victims of child sexual abuse.
Basically, how you gonna come out there? You got some shit on your table, huh?
Exactly.
Let me ask you this, Cookie. Based on whoever the fuck that person's name you was talking about, right? So he got fired, right?
Yes.
That's a white person.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, he's biracial, but the only way I knew that he was biracial was because he mentioned on his YouTube page, in the description of the video, it mentions that he was awarded some 20 best black radio show host or award or something like that. There's a brief mention of him on Wikipedia because on Wikipedia's page about Starr chamber, they mention him and the inflammatory remarks, and it mentions that he is biracial, but you can't hardly tell. He's a self-admitted atheist, and the glee, I mean, I'm not kidding, he was just so excited that Afrika Bambaataa was being defamed this way in the media, and he couldn't barely control himself.
Hmm. So you said the Zulu Nation was a part of getting him fired, right?
Yeah, they were responsible. It was in NY Times. They were responsible for getting him fired back in 2006 for saying horrible things, and he pretty much is a nobody. I mean, he went from being a radio show host on a radio program to being a radio show host on a YouTube radio show.
So the people he's talking to, these are alleged victims of African Bambaataa. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the people he's talking to, I don't know, the Zulu Nation claims that the first victim, Ronald Savage, is mentally challenged. I don't know if that's true. I haven't read his book. But he said that he didn't remember much of what happened. Now, as a victim of child sexual abuse, I can attest to that. I didn't remember much of what happened to me as a child. So I don't know if all victims remember. I didn't remember, so it's possible that he is sincere in saying that he didn't remember. The one victim, he went by the name Poppy. He claimed, well, not Poppy, Shabon. He was 17 at the time of the encounter with Bambaata. So according to New York law, that's not even a crime. That's just gay sex between two consenting adults. And he admits to capitulating to the encounter because he was hoping that Bambaata would push his demo record. So that, that's not really, according to New York law and by his own admission, that's not really sexual abuse. The only ones that might be are Ronald Savage and Poppy, and then this last one, Troy, who supposedly were all underage at the time.
So this is in litigation right now, right?
No, none of them have come to file charges at all. The only one that mentioned anything regarding any legalities is Ronald Savage. He said he wanted to get New York's law statute of limitations changed. Right now, New York statute of limitations is of such where if you don't come forward with claims of abuse by the time you're 23, you can't get any criminal or criminal action against anyone, or criminal or civil action done against the supposed accuser. So he claimed that he wanted to have the law changed, and then I believe that Poppy also claimed that he wished to change the laws, but nobody's actually filed charges.
So are there any recordings that you guys have of the alleged victims speaking on it?
There's the videos, the interviews, talking to the Starr Chamber's Troy Terrain, and then supposedly Poppy had uploaded a video but it was taken down. The Zulu Nation officials told him to take it down with threat of a lawsuit.
Mm. So right now, this whole thing is in the sphere of public opinion.
Right now, it's in the sphere of public opinion and committed with interviews committed by Apostle Predator himself, who has an axe to grind against Zulu Nation.
Mm. Very fucking interesting.
There's an echo.
Is that better, Malik?
We was talking. It's all well. As far as I could say that maybe five of us on this panel, really may not know too much about that whole organization, or maybe even know that brother personally, or maybe witness him in action. Like I say that, I'm willing to see all possibilities because that brother Tori whatever the fuck his name is, like the sister said, that he already headed out for them, and he was the first one to go ahead and bring the story out before the news people came in. So with that added on to it, I'm all willing to see that, yeah, it could be some bullshit and why it didn't come out earlier. But from what I'm getting, everybody in New York or whatever around that way already knew it was true. So I'm willing to hear anybody's views and points on it. Because like I say, I ain't willing to throw no brother or sister under the bus, but I'm not harboring no pedophiles or nothing like that. That needs to be put out there for the community.
Are there any other people on here?
Yeah, can I add on?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Peace, everybody. My name is Malik. I was you guys can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was a member of the Universal Zulu Nation like most of my life, 24 years. I left the nation about I have never seen anything. Am I going to say that I didn't hear um, rumors prior to me leaving? Yes, I did. Um, I I know Poppy, and I know the person he is, and I'll just say that he's a stand-up dude. Um, and you know, let me just say this on this topic. I'm all for Black Power. I've been an activist most of my life, and I have worked with various organizations and people, and know individuals um, that have made a mark in the Black liberation struggle. I'm a person that I don't deal with romanticism in the sense of an individual as a leader or a founder of a movement and think that they never did anything foul, whether it was prior to them becoming the man or woman that they were, and even after. Um, Sometimes things is not COINTEL. Sometimes it's just people that just do some shit. So I'll just say that if I was in the shoes of a person that was the main founder of an organization that is now international, and you have all types of people, ages, whatever, in this organization, and if I was being accused of being a homosexual or a pedophile rapist, and I'm somebody who speaks about leaders of particular organizations and emphasize and give homage and respect to these leaders and organizations. And these leaders and organizations are anti-homosexual. I would stand before my organization and tell the members that I am not. And I would also go to the media and say I'm not.
So because he didn't, and then he did go in front of the council. What we heard allegedly, like I say, like the brother Alco just mentioned, we don't know nothing for a fact, and I definitely don't want to, slander somebody that's not doing something. But stories do match up, and was said allegedly that he did go in front of the council and cried in front of them for them not to let it be out, and that the promise that he was going to go ahead and get help. See, that was the whole thing. What you said, Poppy. His problem, like you say, it's like I kind of want to, see if he a real street dude, right? Let's be real about this shit. Ain't no real street dude gonna come out and be like, hey, yeah, I got my dick sucked, this, that, and the third. And it's like, man, come on, man. The first thing he said is, all I want to do is make sure that he go out and get help, and I wasn't gonna say nothing, and I wasn't gonna put the video out there as long as he went ahead and got help. I told him, and I told the council. And then the first person that came out, the first thing that he said out his mouth, I don't want no money, I don't want nothing, I just want him to get help or try to put something together to help the victims that he tore down. So now we don't know if it's true or not. Like I say, we still going off of allegations, but 4 people that's telling the damn near same similar story and give addresses and street numbers and apartment numbers and all that, it kind of do add up. 3 different stories, 3 different peoples, 3 different times, 3 different interviews, or 4. It's kind of, something that's out there. I just, want everybody to think about that. It's like, I understand it could be liars. It could have came out earlier if that was true, but it's always a possibility there, because we see it a lot in a lot of other leaders that have either messed with kids, or get to a certain level of power, whereas it's just so unlimited to them that they just takes advantage of it, and they get bored and they probably want to mess with some little boys or whatever. So it's like, it's a possibility for all of this. The brother Jerry, he also said that he grew up, or he knew Bambaata. Do you want to add something or bring something to the conversation, brother? Okay, the brother Jerry, you can't hear us? Can you hear me? He typing.
Got it on mute, famo. Got your thing on mute.
Yeah, it's on mute, bro. Okay.
Can anybody hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you. We can hear you now.
Okay. Well, I just like to say that I grew up with African Bambaataa and Zulu Nation as far as being living in New York, and I don't think that he would do anything like this. I just found an article that I'm about to link up to you guys, that he denied this allegation against him, and it's it's a shame that sometimes somebody will make up something, or they'll try to come up with something to try to discredit somebody that's an icon, that's that helped. Actually, he did a lot of help as far as the Zulu Nation, as far as trying to curb the violence that was going on in New York back in the days. Because I'm 49 years old, so I mean I grew up, like I said, I grew up with Treacherous 3, uh, uh, Zulu Nation, Soul Sonic Force. When I say old school, I'm talking about like old school original, and it wouldn't be in the nature. It wouldn't be in the nature for them to conduct such an act, to be down with the Zulu Nation and be down with hip hop.
With that, was you part of the Zulu Nation though, brother?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't actually part of the Zulu Nation. I used to break dance. I knew some people that was part of the Zulu Nation back in New York, but I wasn't actually in the Zulu Nation. But I knew some people that were in the Zulu Nation. But I never, as far as me, like hanging out with Bambaata and stuff like that. I mean, I never hung out with them. I seen, some of their concerts and stuff like that. But to me, back in the days, it would have been a shame for somebody to conduct themselves like that, knowingly or unknowingly, and then be considered somebody that was a true man of hip hop or a true woman of hip hop. And like I said, that's something that's I can't fathom it. I can't fathom that he would do something like that to do something like that to a child, because he was when he started doing the music and stuff like that, he was well in his 20s, and I don't know if this person was allegedly a teen when he was in his 20s, but like I said, somebody that's innocent is going to immediately, just like I seen this article that I just I linked to you guys. They're gonna immediately say, "Hey man, I didn't do this. I'm not like this. I didn't do this." That's my take as far as me being a true man. That especially if somebody if they lie on me, and then I immediately come out and say, "Hey man, I didn't do this. I don't know where it's coming from, but I did not do this." Just like the Eddie Long scandal. He never denied it.
Hold on, because in his article, I'm gonna go find that article too and put it in the back track. He actually says it has no basis. He don't deny it. He just says that it don't have any basis, and they don't have any basis, and they don't have any proof. And like Cookie had said earlier, that in the state of New York, around the age that some of the victims were, it wasn't really illegal. It's really two men having sex. So he didn't really deny it. He just said, "Oh, it has no basis. It had no proof, and I'm gonna let my lawyers take care of it." He didn't say, "No, I didn't do it." He didn't pop on all these different hip hop outlets, like even the white boy. I don't even want to say his name, that make all these hip hop videos. That would be throwing some fucking fame to him. But all these different venues here, anybody that's innocent, this is how I feel. And then I don't know what his lawyers are saying, and I'm not no lawyer. You know what I'm saying? So I understand certain situations, and hey, you might not want to just go out there and say such and such. But me personally, I would have made a fucking Instagram, a Facebook, and every type of video saying to my fans, to my nation members, to my everybody that looked up to me that wasn't probably a member of Zulu Nation, or is just, hey man, I never do this to y'all. Y'all already know who I am. Y'all already know what type of person I am. Y'all, it would just, I feel like, why hasn't he, and like I say, I don't want to throw no brother. I really want to believe that he didn't do it. I really do. But at the same time, nothing about me, myself, as an individual can harbor no homosexual or no pedophile. And if he is that, like I make sure I always say allegations and a possibility. If he is that, man, he need to be that need to be out there because it's how many more victims do we need before something been stopped? That's all I'm trying to come with it. I definitely don't want to bash nobody, but I want the truth to come out.
Yeah, I understand that. I definitely understand that, brother. Um, and like you said, they are allegations, and you have to realize he's still a professional as far as him being in the music business, and as far as him having lawyers and going through the procedures because the alleged victim that's trying to attack him. I mean, you are right. He's going through the victim that's trying to attack him is going through the legislative procedures. So Bambaata, he's counter reacting and giving the answer and saying, okay, well, I'm going to go through the legal system to categorically deny what you're trying to attack me for. But like I said, if it's true, if this is true, because if that brother is coming out, because you have to realize if he's coming out to say that, and he knows that African Bambaataa has the Zulu Nation behind him. He has other rappers and other even just people from the old school and new school that's behind him. And you have to realize um, they're hardcore. And if they're behind him and this alleged victim is coming out, then he's taking a chance. I'm talking about the victim. If it's true, if he's saying this is true, and he know the consequences of him lying, and the repercussions of him lying, then I can't say I'm saying that I believe it's not true, and
What is the
being that
what would be the reason then? How about that? And I want the brother Malik to also chime in because you two brothers, y'all from the area. And what would be the reason do you think for these victims to come out now? Like the sister Cookie has said, it's kind of the same situation with this Bill Cosby shit. You know what I'm saying? It's happening years later, and so. What would be the reason? Do y'all think? And it's to both of you, gentlemen.
well, I'll let him go first.
Um, sometimes I don't want to come off like I'm this negative person, but it's just that, you know, again, it's just the reality that people are people, and I think, it could be a thing that there's when you have people who have made allegations, they have to put a case together. It could take some time, you know. Um, I think in this situation, and I will speak on this because this is public information. 3 years ago, Bambaata was stabbed. Um, the press release is that, he had chest pains. So word traveled. Word traveled very quickly about the situation that he was stabbed. Um, so I think that I noticed, and I was still in the nation at this time. There was tons of rumors going around as to why he was stabbed. Um, but I think that was the can of worms that was opened, um, because I noticed more talk on this compared to like when I was a teenager. I heard it like twice, but this is something that has always been spoken of in the Bronx, you know, that he is. Um, my whole thing is, you know, I don't agree with homosexuality in the least. Um, I um, I don't think an individual is born homosexual. I think it is a lifestyle that is a result of social situations, and I would even blame the food, the water. Um, but um, oh boy, you know, this is hard for me. You know what I'm saying? Because even though I had left, I'll say that I didn't leave for any of this. I left because of just um, the type of person I am. I'm more of a very serious militant individual, and the change that the Zulu Nation has made, um, just, you know, I got tired of it. You know what I mean? Like, just disagreements with certain things, and it um, just wasn't my cup of tea no more. You know, there's good people in Zulu Nation, very good, dedicated, sincere people, warriors, male, female. You know what I mean? People that do things in the community. And it's sad because of what's going on. And I just feel that on their behalf, if he's not, then there's more that needs to be done, because of the fact that when you have individuals who are not in New York, that are international, and they are dealing with the community, not just throwing DJ events and B-boy events and MC events and doing some graph art, people that are really involved in the community, to the extent that they have a relationship with mayors, that this is something that needs to be addressed more. And I know it has not been addressed. I know that for a fact that it has not been addressed on the level that it should have. Case in point, Malcolm had made accusations of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now you can go to Harlem to the Schomburg Museum, and there's the letter in which Malcolm wrote to be reinstated back into the nation, because he realized he was wrong. But a lot of people don't talk about that. Um, the accusation of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad uh, dealing, you know, committing adultery, but yet Minister Farrakhan at the Apollo Theater had brought out, and this was, I believe, the time the movie Malcolm X was released, he had brought out all the women that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was married to, with the exception of Sister Clara Muhammad. That was his first wife. She was deceased. But you have sisters like Tainetta Muhammad. She's still alive. She was a wife of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. These other women, they were brought forth. So there was evidence. You know what I'm saying? There was evidence that was brought to argument, so there would be no defamation or assassination of character. Now you look at somebody like Dr. York, who I'm not at all a fan of. Dr. York, who lastly claims to be a reincarnated pharaoh from the 19th galaxy. You can see the video where he pled guilty for the highest rate, the highest amount of child molestation in U.S. history. That man did. And you know, people that was around in the 70s, the 80s, the early 90s, when before he was Nuwapian, it was the Ansars. You know, Dr. York owned a lot of real estate on Bushwick Avenue. He had dry cleaners. He had not dry cleaner, laundromat. He had a pizzeria. He owned a lot of property, and it was known, because the streets talk, that he was doing a lot of crazy shit, or a lot of crazy things was happening in that community. Again, I just think that this needs to be confronted more, and I think that it's just kind of being swept beneath the rug. That's my opinion. I don't hate the Zulu Nation. I'm not anti-Zulu Nation.
Well, that's what clear. I want to make sure that this is not about Zulu Nation. The founder of it. I understand there's some real soldiers, real warriors, some real dedicated kings and queens in that organization that don't agree with pedophilia or homosexuality, and they probably at awe of still coming to, finding out, or if they already kind of knew something or heard a rumor, and but they understood the bigger picture of the organization. I don't got no problem with them. I don't want no bad light going towards that organization as a nation, because they do put in some work for the community. So far, what I read, like I say, I'm in Chicago. I've never been to New York, so I always heard of the Zulu Nation, even as a child. So I know they putting in some work. So it's nothing against the Zulu Nation. I just want to make sure that clear. Nothing in the description or the title, said nothing about the Zulu Nation. I just want to make sure that's clear. It's about the individual, not a group, because I don't think that whatever happens to an individual, true or false, really is a whole representation of that group, because that group, I believe, is on a good foundation, because it lasted so long, and it has a good, like you said, it's some good people in there. So I just wanted to make that clear. I didn't want to cut you off. Please continue, and I also know that Brother Jerry might coming in after you.
See, the benefit in this situation, because I look at it from two ways. The benefit that Zulu has, in the sense that the organization will not fall, is the fact that Zulu Nation doesn't claim divinity. Zulu Nation doesn't claim that you gotta be Zulu, this is the way. You know what I mean? So it's not an organization that says, you have to be with us, we're the truth. Because it's what Zulu is, according to the teachings, is that Zulu Nation is basically an organization. It's a hip hop preservation international organization that deals with social, political, cultural, conscious awareness. So if you are someone who does the elements of hip hop, or you are someone who loves the elements of hip hop, it's an organization to be a part of. If you are of any religious, spiritual ideology, political ideology, you can be in Zulu. So, a lot of people think that because Bam is really big with Nuwapians and the Moors, a lot of people think that you have to be a Nuwapian or a Moor to be in the Zulu Nation, and that's false. There's Catholics, 5%ers, Muslims, Rastafarians, just people that's not even into that. You know what I mean? Like it's just an array. It's an array of people in the organization. But the flip that I see to it is that if indeed this is facts, then the question has to be, well, what was the intention of the formation of this organization? That is something that I think that's in the back of my head. When we look at great organizations like the Black Panther Party, the BLA, the Young Lords, they had their problems in these organizations. And if you get to know any of these people from these organizations, you'll start to learn some history, and you'll start to learn that even to this day, there's individuals that don't fuck with each other. You know, like the young lords, one of the issues that they faced was sexism, which is a big thing um, in the world, but particularly in the so-called Latino community. You know, there is a machismo, there is a sexist um, thinking that some men have. So that was a thing that they faced, which was an obstacle. So, you know, even if you look at the nation of gods of earth, all right, and a term that the nation of gods of earth will use for drugs is high explosives. Now, it's been said that Father Allah at one time had no problem with these young brothers gambling and doing some high explosives. And we're not just talking about weed. So there's people say, oh, that's not true. You know, the father, blah, blah, blah. But in actuality is fact when you have people that were there, you know what I mean, that can account for it. But at the same time, Father Allah then didn't encourage that lifestyle. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, if this is all facts, like, this isn't something that's going to be like mind blowing, you know what I mean, because of an individual who they are, by their credentials or prestige or whatever. It's not anything surprising. It's sad, and I think that this is something that where we fall short in this quote unquote conscious community is we really don't take time to adhere to those who do not know their history are doomed to repeat it. And a lot of us, and my finger being pointed myself first, because I'm not exempt, I'm not perfect. There are things that we do that hinder us and stagnate us rather than elevate us and have us go forward, because we are still caught up in our lower desires. We're still caught up in our ego. We're still caught up in our greed. We're still caught up in our fetishes. That is selfish, because when shit hits the fan, it's causing a problem for everybody else. Because people like to think about me and I and not us and we. So, if anything, if this is true, we should take this as a lesson. You know what I mean? And it's like a man with his woman. You want to cherish that queen. The man is the maintainer and the protector of the woman. So you want to protect what is sacred, the woman, just as a woman's motherly nature to the child. This is how we have to be with righteousness, knowledge of self, and whatever it is that we want to adhere to. You have to cherish it and take it seriously and not play with it. This is not a game. And so when things like this happen, what happens is people tend to leave. People tend to want to downgrade the movement. You know, I was in a relationship where the woman I was with, that's how she was. Because what she did was she looked at people and judged people or a person and put it all together and say, that's how it is. That's not how it is. You have to judge the criteria. You have to judge what is it standing on. And people can make application in a good way and a bad way. So my whole outlook overall on this is to regard, even if I want him to be innocent. I would love for this not to be true. That's what I want. But if he is, it's still a learning experience. It's still something to take and be like, yo, like, need to be on my P's and Q's. Like, I can't slip up. If I'm in the community or if I'm doing this or I'm claiming this, people watch. people, you attract people not by your words, but you attract people by your actions.
Brother Jerry.
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Well, the question you asked was why did they what was their agenda if they're just coming out now with these allegations? And my take on it is, you know, being born in 1966, 1976, I was 10 years old, 78, 79, 80, you know, becoming a young a young teenager, I should say. You have to realize 80, 81, 82, 83, 84. You have to realize if they would have came out back then and made those allegations, that he would have been definitely discredited. Because, like I said, you still have to realize that Afrika Bambaataa came from an actual gang. He came from an actual gang, the Black Spades. So that person would have been, probably would have been, I don't know, he probably been beaten up, and who knows anything else that would have happened to him. He probably have been beaten up, discredited, and thrown away and put into oblivion, as far as him coming out back then, because you had to realize back then in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, if as far as us growing up, if we were called a punk, that was like fighting words. If we were called, hey man, you a faggot, that was fighting words. As far as being a man back then, and if that would have came out as if this still is an allegation, if that would have came out that he touched or did some sexual act with the same sex person, then that would have discredited him. And I know you saying that you're not going to imply about the Zulu Nation, but that would have put a big stain on the Zulu Nation. That would have put a big stain on it. It wouldn't have been worldwide as it is now, because you have the nation in over in Korea. You have Zulu Nation, everywhere, as far as people knowing about Afrika Bambaataa, knowing about hip hop, knowing about them being the pioneers of taking music and taking something and making it something. So that person would have been discredited, and he would have been discredited. The alleged victim would have been discredited, and like I said, because I know people, as far as me growing up back in New York, somebody would just did something to him just in general, because they would have been angry that he made this allegation against a father and a pioneer of hip hop. So, like I said, that's just my small opinion, my small take on why it's just coming out right now. And then you have coercers. You have people that says, well, you need to go ahead. If this is in your mind, you need to go ahead and bring this out, and so you can get fame, you can get money, you can get paid off of this. So you have coercers. I might not be saying the word right, but you have coercers, or the ones that push people to do things that might not be in their nature, or they might have said, you know what, this happened to me, and instead of them being a man about it, or um, um, being mature about it. They could have, if this happened, they could have took Bambaata to the side and say, "Hey, man, you know what you did to me when I was young, man. That hurt me, and I feel, I just want to say, man, I was hurt by that, and I can we reconcile this of what happened, what happened when we were teenage when I was a teenager and you were in your 20s or something like that." So instead of him doing it the mature way, the manly way, he went about it. He went about it. Like we said back in the days, he went about the sucker way. I mean, he just he's going about it the Hollywood way, and he's trying. To me, I mean, it's about a payment, man. It's about money. It's about a little fame. It's about a little, maybe an attack on hip hop. Because you have to realize that it's um, hip hop generates like $9 billion annually a year. I mean, it's like it's to me, it's just an attack, unsubstantiated attack. It's a immature attack, and he should have took the Bambaataa to the side and said, "Hey, man, let's reconcile this without going to the courts or going to the law." That's my take.
But one
Okay.
thing that you have to remember is only one of the four victims, if this is all alleged, if these allegations are true, only one of the four victims was an actual adult at the time of the incidences. They were all of them children. The youngest one being, though two of them, the youngest two, no, all of them were 12 years old. The Ronald Savage supposedly 13, and Poppy and Troy 12, and the oldest one, Chabon, 17. The only one, an actual legal adult. So naturally they wouldn't have come forward because they were children at the time, scared, emotionally disturbed. And as I said, as a victim of molestation, it takes a long time to get over that until you are in a situation where you feel comfortable with even admitting it to yourself, not to mention admitting it to your family and coming out in public with the allegations.
Um, I mean, I didn't grow up in the era of African Bambaataa, and I wasn't even aware that he was the pioneer of hip hop. I believe I heard his name growing up, and I heard his name in conversations, but never really knew much about him. And although I'm not sure that these allegations are true, I'm not going to deny that it's false either, because I wasn't there. And these are sources coming from suspected racists and whatnot. And I mean, to make up, if they were lying, I don't see what they would be getting from this. I don't see what they would be benefiting from. One of the victims said that he was aware that Bambaata was molested as a child and that he wants him to seek help and everything else, which he should, and it's not to shame African Bambaataa, because I understand that we are all victims of white supremacy, racism, and we are influenced by white people. And this disease of pedophilia and homosexuality is rampant within our so-called culture. I can't even call it a culture because there's nothing divine about it, and the way it is now today. And Jerry said that he think it's an attack on hip hop because hip hop generates $9 billion or so. But honestly, the craft and the glory of hip hop has been destroyed and attacked long ago, and I honestly don't think that any of these people will be benefiting off of trying to destroy hip hop. Hip hop has been destroyed the moment that white people got involved and started uh, using it for collateral and poisoning the music, and to the point where I can't even say it's our own anymore, honestly. But um, I don't know. The only thing I could say is that he needs to seek help, and it reminds me of the B2K situation when Raz B had came out and his brother Ricky Romance, and they came out and said that Chris Stokes is a pedophile and a homosexual, and how he was molesting and raping them, or teaching them the ways of homosexuality, because he basically will like prime them. He primed Marcus Houston into engaging and becoming what Chris Stokes was. Chris Stokes influenced him to basically inflict the same behavior onto the other uh, young black males that were in the group. And even Quinn, is it Quindon from American Idol? He said that he was also molested by Chris Stokes. And Chris Stokes is Rasby's and Ricky Romance cousin, aside from the fact that he was their manager. And it's sad how we make fun of these young black males who have been abused, and see that they're gay, and we laugh and say, well, like Chris Brown has said to Rasby on Twitter, I believe he had made a tweet saying, well, you wasn't complaining about it when you wasn't complaining about being butt plugged when you was getting that money though. And then he put hashtag homo thug. And I don't think Rasby will be benefiting off of anything by saying what he's saying. People say he's trying to promote his book, he's trying to promote his album or whatever, but he's been working on this case against Chris Stokes for years. He actually tried to get past the fact that this had happened, but they kept attacking him, Marcus Houston and Amarion and Chris Stokes. Even when he would try to make peace, they would still give him a hard time and try to destroy him. So I guess he felt like he had nothing to lose, and that's why he came out and said what he said. But I don't think he's lying, and we shouldn't shame these young black men when they come out and say this, because as we know, there's a lot of that stuff going on in our communities. So it's definitely going to be in the so-called hip-hop culture. I mean, it shouldn't really be a surprise. And we just need to protect our children more and stop letting them around people just because we think that, they're family, or we share the same blood, or we're the same people, because we're all mentally ill, and you need to keep that in mind. You can't just, hand your kids over to anybody, and you need to start educating your kids on what pedophilia and rape is, so that they can know when someone touches them in a certain place or whatever, that it's wrong, and to defend themselves, so that we could stop having these things happen. And it's just very unfortunate and disturbing. It's very, very unfortunate and disturbing. And Chris Stokes, he never denied these allegations, because it's true. He said he don't do that stuff anymore. That was him back then, and whatever. But he's feeling guilty about it.
So with that, right, and we just sit back and try to look at the whole hip hop industry, right? And like I say, this is all possibilities. But I'm just saying that, I feel like now it seems like today that they are promoting the homosexuality in hip hop.
Of course.
So let's just say we still keeping it on a possibility and accusations, but do you think that this is a chess move by some higher ups, a possibility of a chess move to try to uncover it and say that it's been going on in hip hop since the longest, and we always so
All
you
it
know.
has been.
Cause like I'm just tying in the Bill Cosby and this, and then how some people say the accusations that they knew for a while, or I mean, like, I'm just trying to, if I was a quadrillionaire and I'm trying to play chess with you motherfuckers and shit, you know what I'm saying? And if one thing didn't work, and I'm trying to make another thing work, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't throwing no life raft to a motherfucker, but it just basically saying that, hey, let's unravel this shit and let it be known that the father or the one of the founders of hip hop always been gay. And then that goes back when Love and Hip Hop was trying to unveil the homosexuality in hip hop. So I'm looking at, since we're trying to tie in events, because of patterns, like the brother off close saying shit like that. Um, do you think this is a pattern that's going on, that we need to recognize the signs or the symbols or whatever, since we supposed to be the enlightened ones or whatever? I mean, is it some outside sources that's also playing games with this shit? But we want people to be accountable, that even though they might be the pawns, but these motherfuckers said yes to sit on laps, or go ahead and be the aggressor in the situation, if that is true. So do you guys
Well, I'll say chess has always been played on us. We're just so blinded by our own reality. Um, we have been under attack for a very long time. It's not like they're using hip hop. Uh, I mean, they're using it now to promote. They always have been using homosexuality and promoting it. But at the end of the day, I feel like now it has gotten more popular because they know how powerful music is, and they know that music is ultimately the only healing source that we have as a people, because we don't have nothing else. Um, but you see artists like Young Thug and Lil Wayne and Birdman, and Birdman had openly said on 106 and Park back in the day that it's a mafia thing, and how he kissed Lil Wayne and that's his son and he loved him and all this stuff. And unfortunately, these are young black males that are victims of white supremacy, racism, and unfortunately, they don't love themselves enough to deny the rewards from white people, to destroy themselves and to destroy their community. They take the money and they get the fame and they out here doing whatever for it. And I believe on Love and Hip Hop, Stevie J, his child's mother is now in a lesbian relationship with another a black adult female, and it's just unfortunate. I mean, we already know that there has been significant what can I say? There has been a aggressive plan, and it's working to basically destroy the dynamics between Bess and Bam's black adult females and black adult males, where you have black adult females basically saying they don't need a man no more. And you have these men out here, these black adult males saying that, they don't care to have a decent Beth, all they want is a bad bitch and that's it. And we're just getting tied up into white people's artificial society.
so wait, let's keep it on us, because I did say outside sources and I did ask that, but I want to go back. I want to rewind a little bit.
Wait, go back on us.
No, I want to rewind a little bit back in the conversation, meaning that when I had asked the question of why why do you think these victims are coming out now, and both of the brothers had gave me a answer to it, and a Cookie also chimed in, and yourself also.
Well, there's
hold on, so hold on. So I wanted to say like, I wanted to ask like, or just put a picture out there that both of the I only seen the brother Savage and Poppy.
I don't know how their faces look. I don't know these
Okay,
people.
yeah, okay. Cookie, could you put those links in the back chat and also put those links
I only read about the
but
situations.
but I'm just saying though, look, this is what I'm trying to make the point is I'm trying to see like the both of the gentlemen said that they were so young that they didn't really know what sex and what it was. I think the brother Savage was like when he came in the room, he didn't know what masturbation was at that age, and this is a person that's allegedly, this is what happened. This is a person that that's looked up by many. This is a god in his eyes, and this is a leader. You know what I'm saying? And this man telling you that, hey, no, this is something that we do all the time. This is normal. So that's like psychologically fucking with somebody. Other than the dude that's 17 and was down for it and was doing it for a mixtape. That
Oh,
dude gay. I don't give a fuck what nobody say.
yeah, he didn't love himself enough to say no. He was just down for whatever.
He was willing to sit on the lap. Okay, that's cool. What I'm saying is the victims, the three other people that was so that this is not funny. I swear to God,
Nah, because he said sit on the lap.
but it's real shit though. I'm just being real about it. At the same time, it's like the other ones, they were so young that they really didn't know what sex was.
Yeah.
And even brother Poppy said that, hey, he asked us about another person that he's like, why didn't you snatch me out when I was going in that room with him if you knew what was going on? Allegedly, what was going on? What was going on? So it's like, and then what I'm getting when I'm reading these articles and looking through the videos and and also hearing what these two gentlemen also brought to the table too is like, he was such a good person and he helped, but it's like, come on, I don't know, man.
Well, I know that you can never judge a book by the cover, but then you can never underestimate people. Because I know people that I would never suspect of doing certain things.
But true
and
though,
when the truth came out, it is what it is. And that's why we can't put people on a certain pedestal, because at the end of the day, we are not perfect and we have been influenced by all these different things. And the reason why they probably didn't come out, because like Cookie said, it takes you time to really digest what happened, and then you have to take into account as, a young black male, that your masculinity is going to be attacked if people know that you were molested, regardless of you going through this traumatic experience. There's ignorant people out there that's going to call you a faggot, and they're going to suspect that you're gay, and they're going to question your sexuality, and a lot are not, they're not willing to deal with that type of ridicule, but I guess now they just don't care because they have nothing to lose and they feel like it should be put out there. I mean, it's only a certain matter of time before you feel like you have to say something, because it's cliche to say, but the truth will set you free. I mean, you can't live with that on your soul. You gotta let it out. You can't let that person, no matter how scared you are or whatever, you can't let that person live on without telling the truth and making other people know what that person has done, because it's not right. And he need to face up to his actions and take accountability. I think they're looking for closure. I'm not sure if he ever apologized to them or not, but most people who undergo this traumatic experience, they want closure. They want someone to explain why. They want to know why you did it, and they want an apology, at least.
Hey, KK.
Hey, what's up?
KK.
Yeah? Whoa.
Yeah, when you say they want an apology, that's what I was saying earlier. What I had typed in earlier, that they should have, instead of them doing it that way, as far as going to the courts and stuff like that, or trying to bring it out in the public, they should have did it. They should have been a man and said, "Man, let me go to Bambaata because if this happened, if, like I said, this is all an alleged thing. My take is I would have went to Bambaata myself and said, "Hey, man, man, that thing that you did when I was a teenager, man, that wasn't right. And man, I've been going through therapy and I've been, contemplating suicide. I've been thinking about this, thinking about that, and man, I need your help on this. If if you feel you can't help me, and if you feel that you might discredit me or something like that, then I will, I was. But just like I said, they
But
weren't man
that's what
enough,
Poppy did, though, brother. That's what Poppy
huh?
said. He did. No, Poppy said that's what the brother Poppy, one of the
Both of them, both
no
Yeah.
No,
no
just
one
Poppy. The
said he was
other
in there
three
with the
didn't. Just
counselor.
Poppy.
right? So that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That's what I'm saying. Be a man. See, that's the problem with this thing nowadays about this hip hop and this R&B, and they want to hide the homosexuality or hide this or hide that. And Bill Cosby, when they instead of them saying, I got a problem with women, I got a problem with sleeping around with a lot of women, I got a
Well,
problem
that
with
shit was
sleeping around.
false. I mean, even
Right,
if he
right.
was having sex with those white
What?
women and paying them, ultimately he wasn't raping
Yeah.
anybody. He wasn't forcing you to
No, he
do
wasn't
something.
raping him, but I'm saying, right, but he still was married. He still was married, still doing that. Instead of them
Of
coming
course,
out,
and that's
they
wrong.
right,
But at the
right,
end of the day, I feel like
right.
if it wasn't something where you was forcing anybody, raping anybody, you don't need to come out to the public and
Right.
confess to your infidelity.
Yeah, but the thing with the Bill Cosby situation is it's documented facts that Bill Cosby and his wife have always had an open marriage. So if
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't know their personal business.
Right, right.
I
But
feel
like I said,
like I don't know, man.
drugging people and everything, that doesn't make sense unless Bill Cosby has a sick fetish that he likes to drug chicks. But I don't. For me, I don't see with the Bill Cosby thing. I'm like, it doesn't hold weight. Again, they have an open marriage. It's documented that they've always had an open marriage.
okay. Well, like I said, the thing with this African Bambaataa thing, my like I said, my take is like I said before, the reason why they didn't come out back in the '70s when I grew up, it would be a shame for somebody to point at accusations, say, "Hey, man, this man you think you see on stage right now, he's claiming that he's hard, he's this and that, he's in a gang, and he's doing this and he's doing that, he's doing this for hip hop. He touched me when I was 13 or something like that." Do you know that if he would have said that back in the day, back in the day, I
But
mean,
see,
you had KRS-One, you had X Clan, you had the Black Spades that he still knew about. I mean, you had other gangs like in the Bronx and Brooklyn and this and that. Bada bing, bada boom. They would attack this dude. They would probably killed that kid. Now, I'm not saying it would have happened, but I'm saying it would have happened. I'm saying.
the only thing with that is that it is it's gospel, for
But
lack of better words,
but
on in the Bronx, that people did know about that.
and that's what
People,
I'm saying.
so like, you know, it's just if indeed, let's just say that's 100% facts, and people knew. Again, I don't find that hard to believe because people can still benefit from each other and cover up their shit. I mean, it's and I mean and this is what I've heard from people that are Black Spade, that are Zulu from back in the day, that are people that were from around in those times. You know what I mean? And it's from an array of different people. You know what I mean? That he was. I was born in '78, so I wasn't there. I wasn't, in that crowd and everything at that time. But when you have, I mean, when you got mad people saying it, I mean, like, why? You know what I mean? Like, it's like you live in the hood, right? And so and so, I don't know, they like to trick off. They like to do heroin. It's just something that people know, but they're not gonna go and stand on the corner with a sign and broadcast it. You know what I mean? It's just a thing that some people know that this person is into this particular thing. Again, that's why I say that he needs to come forward to the organization, and he needs to come forward on several media outlets. I mean, this shit was on BET. Ron Savage did an interview with one of the papers in New York. There's a video with him online that you can see. I mean, like, he's going to speak on this. You know what I mean? Like, so, and then there's the argument, well, maybe Bam isn't doing what he's doing because his lawyer said not to do it. I just think that the reality is that time is the best teller. You know what I mean? So it's gonna come out sooner or later. You know what I mean? Like Dr. York, he's like a perfect example. You know what I mean? Like, it was spoken of about the things that he did for a long time from several different communities. We're not just talking about like the people in the neighborhood, but we're talking about from religious groups to organizations. I mean, like, and somebody can say, well, how come, nobody put this on blast or whatever? It just didn't happen. You know what I mean? And look what happened. He got wrapped up. He gets locked up. And there you go. If you're from another planet and you got all these these extraterrestrial connections, and you used to say that you could teleport to different places, then why aren't you teleporting, and why aren't the aliens breaking you out of prison? So, of course, the followers have to come up with a story. So that community has different reasons. Some say he's a clone. Some say that's a clone of Dr. York in prison. Some say that the Illuminati put a force field around the Supermax prison so the spaceships and the aliens couldn't get in. Then, when you hear Dr. York's own words, his own words is he was told by these beings, these aliens, not to do anything. That's a bunch of bullshit. So you're going to sit all these years in prison for something you didn't do? You're not going to, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to put up a fight? Like, that's just it? So, to me, that's the proof in the pudding. Like, you did do it. You know what I mean? And you know that you have people under your spell that still believe in you, and you got to keep the story going.
Most def, bro. Most def. Most definitely. We hit on a lot of different topics, points, might I add. I mean, you guys, y'all blew me away right now. You know what I'm saying? Do you think that it's a possibility that, like the brother Jerry was saying, that during that time frame, that you probably would have, or that person, how about that? Let me make sure I can make that clear. That person or that victim would have probably been, taken out. And then let's think about the aggressor in this situation. And we ain't making him no, victim. If it's true, you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying that, we gotta think that maybe it's something that happened to him. You know what I'm saying? That you said that he was part of another organization, and maybe it was somebody that was influential to him that introduced this to him, like the sister Cookie had mentioned, that as far as the Chris Strokes and Marcus Houston, and you know what I'm saying? Like maybe this sickness you know, carried on from, you know, somewhere else. You know, we gotta look at the seed of this shit because, you
Well,
know,
according to Poppy, he was molested as a child. Poppy said that he was molested as a child, and that's also when he said that Bambaata had agreed to get counseling and to provide some sort of financial or emotional assistance to other child sexual abuse victims, but he hasn't done so. But according to my research, there is a link between homosexuality and pedophilia. Um, A child psychologist named Eugene Abel found research that homosexuals sexually molest boys 5 times greater than uh, heterosexuals molest girls. Um, and that the rate of homosexual sexual abuse versus heterosexual abuse is staggering. So there's
Come on, man, you
a
scared me.
link between this,
I'm
and
on
therefore
what you call
also
it with
um,
African Bambaataa. You heard about African Bambaataa?
there's also something to be said for those who children who are exposed to homosexuals to having to later expressing some sort of homosexual urges. There is a movement in the gay community to not merely teach children about what homosexuality is, but in explicit detail talk about the act that is involved in the act of sex involved with homosexuality. Just last year, I believe, in Utah school, they had their sexual abuse class, which it went far and beyond mere sexual abuse. They were talking about edible sexual toys and giving very detailed descriptions and talking about edible jellies that you use when you're doing anal. And these are 12, 14-year-old kids that don't need to know this. Most kids aren't really aware of their sexuality. It's normal, well-adjusted kids are not really aware of their sexuality. So why they're teaching this to them, I don't know. There's a link between the homosexuality and the church. The Vatican has seen an upsurge of homosexuals in their seminary schools, and there is a number of magazines or what do they call them? Publication primers that are now being put into the school to teach children about sex, homosexuality, and teaching them that it's something that's normal. But with the overwhelming evidence showing a link between homosexuality and pedophilia, that's obviously not the case. And with the number of Black Americans that have accepted this as normal, you're going to see more homosexuals in the Black community because one of the food, as I believe Malik stated, the food, what's in the food, the water, the air, and what's on TV, and what's in the schools.
I want a side note on that. Um, some information I had came about Planned Parenthood used homosexuality as an influence in the Black community. 1972, World Population Council decided that homosexuality would not be considered an You know, I'm country as hell. It won't be considered not normal, and will be propagated in the Black community as a healthy lifestyle. 1973, homosexuality was voted out of the DSM as a mental disorder, and it's only been been normal in America is for about 37, 38, maybe 40 years, and that's just a little bit of information that I had went and looked up. You can continue for the homosexuality and pedophilia because that does deal with the topic as far as this allegations that's been led with African Bambaataa. Anybody want? I yield the floor.
Um, I just wanted to say that I personally, uh, I see a link between homosexuality and pedophilia because, like Cookie said, there is a high rate of homosexual males who are abusing young boys rather than heterosexual males abusing young girls. And an example of that is this author, this white man, suspected racist, Walter L. Williams, who wrote this book called Spirit in the Flesh, Sexual Diversity in American Indian Culture. Well, he won an award for this book, Gay Book of the Year, and actually, let me go read a little bit about him. Um, he was added to the FBI Most Wanted list for exploitation, sexual exploitation of children, where he traveled to the Philippines with the intent to engage in explicit sexual conduct, engaging in explicit sexual conduct in foreign places and criminal forgery, according to the Department of Justice statement. And he's facing up to 100 years. And there's a video of him having sex with two Philippine boys who were 13, 14 years old on webcam, and he has photos of them. And along with that, they said he could have possibly traveled to Mexico, but he was trying to have sex with children that were even under the age of 9. He was trying to have sex with them, and they confiscated his laptop and found those pictures. And this is supposed to be a gay white man that's supposedly trying to put homosexuality in a bright light through his book, if that's even possible, by seeing that there's some type of spiritual connection and whatnot. And he had the nerve to write a book. He wrote a story about a character named Eddie Freeman, who's supposed to be a so-called quote-unquote African-American slave from South Carolina who escaped slavery in 1860, and that Eddie was attracted to his own sex, and that he was looking for love and attention or love and affection, whatever. It's just like, what the hell? There was a person I knew that.
Granted, the gay
Huh?
community, the gay community fruits these accusations, and they say that federal crime data refutes the homosexual pedophilia
Or
link.
they're lying because a lot of them have been
Well, yes,
abused.
because according to a man named Gary Schoner, he's a clinical psychologist, he says that heterosexual cases that no research shows the number of children per offender is far greater in the homosexual community than in the heterosexual one. So that means, that homosexuals are having gay sex parties with children.
Yeah. And
Um,
also,
so
homosexual
while,
couples there's been cases where they will adopt
yes,
little boys and exploit them for child pornography and to engage in homosexual pedophilia acts.
and the reason why much of this, the truth about this isn't getting out is because an organization, I can't remember the name, but the NLGJA, they boast that 3/4 of the people who decide what is allowed on the front of the page of NY Times are gay. So they are controlling the media to make certain that the truth about the link between homosexuality and pedophilia are not revealed.
And it's crazy because within the gay culture, they have a tendency to like their partners to look young, to be waxed
Yes.
and have milky clear porcelain skin. And they
Yes.
refer to them, if you listen to how gay men talk, whether they're black or white or whatever, they like to refer themselves mostly as boys. They don't call themselves men. And they like to look pretty and young. Youth is something that they're obsessed with, and they don't like to age.
A woman
And
named Ruth Wiseman, she has done a study with the Regent Institute, and she found ads in a homosexual newspaper called The Advocate, where they have ads for a penetrable boy doll available in 3 provocative positions. And she also found a number of erotic boy images in each issue of The Advocate, on an average of 14. There's also the Calvin Klein magazines, which even I remember at the age of 12 noting how many pictures of young children, young boys, young girls, and young boys in sexual positions in these um, in that magazine, in the um, oh, I can't remember what the magazine is called. But I remember seeing a number of those, and it's just this is not uh, anything to do with homophobia. There's no homophobia involved, but it's very concerning when you see a number of things involving children and homosexuality. Children don't need to be taught sex.
exactly. And the craziest part about it
Other
is like,
than,
But
how their biological body, the biological process of their body, and how to prevent from having kids. That is important. But teaching children about homosexuality, there's no point in that. There's no biological purpose.
well, they're actually they're slowly but surely bringing it into the schools, into the public schools. I don't know about the private, but as far as the public schools, they're slowly but surely, just like how a snake does. A snake doesn't, except for a rattlesnake. They don't, um, you can't hear a snake. You get bit by. I mean, being that I moved south here. I moved here in Carolina, North Carolina. You're not gonna hear a snake like you hear an elephant. You're gonna a snake is gonna bite you, and you're gonna know it after the fact. So you have to realize they're bringing it in slowly but surely that they're bringing that portion in. They're indoctrinated our nieces and nephews now. That's why we have to be careful of these schools that we're taking them into, because the indoctrination of this going on, and even with the music business, it's been going on for a while. But now everything is just coming to the light. It's been going on for a while that they've been doing this, but a lot of stuff is coming to the light now. But like I said, with with the uh, with the with the Bambaata situation, like I said, like the brother was saying before, I don't want to believe that, because, like I said, the way I grew up and the icons that I did see, that's something that I can't fathom to see that that that's like somebody KRS-One, somebody coming out and say KRS-One did this to me, did that to me. I can't. That's something I just can't see. I can't fathom that in my mind.
So at the end of the day, you just feel like this is a setup.
Yeah, it's a Yeah, you could say that it's a setup because I mean, most of the stories when you hear a lot of these stories in Hollywood, man, it's like they say one thing and then it comes out to another thing. I mean, look at Martin. I mean, what's his name? Was it Martin Sheen or is it the one that gave was HIV positive?
Yeah, it's Martin Sheen.
Charlie Sheen. Martin Sheen is his
Charlie's the
dad.
father. Martin's the
Yeah,
son.
he's the right. And you have to realize that they were trying to hide they you know they were trying to hide this for a while, but he finally just said, you know what, I'm just gonna bring it out and tell my story. So it's with Hollywood, it's like a doggone spider web with these people, man. It's like, and most of them talk with forked tongues. Most of them say one thing and they do another thing, or most of them do one thing and they say another thing. So I mean, you have to realize, and then you got the other people that's looking for money. You got the ones that may have been jilted a while back, and they looking for money and are looking for a little bit of fame, and say, well, let me make an allegation that a pioneer of hip hop touched me when I was 13 years old or 12 years old or when I was a teen, and let me bring light to myself. If it's not true, if it is true, you know, like I said, he should have been a man. He should have been a man and said, "Hey, man, well, you said Poppy did go to Bambaata. They went face to face, and being
Hey,
that,
but that's
like I
the
said,
thing, though, brother. That's the thing, brother. If it wasn't for Poppy, I really wouldn't have probably believed it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I believe
uh
it. I'm just saying that Poppy's story and how Poppy don't give a fuck about naming names, street
huh,
addresses, apartment numbers, and daring anybody to step to him. Like, this brother done been to jail or so called whatever. So, he cut from a different cloth than maybe someone else, but I can relate to his cloth, and I can tell you this. I know Poppy from here from Chicago, and the Poppy I know, he ain't never gonna fucking tell no goddamn body. And let alone going
hmm,
on air. And like I say, this is an allegation. I'm not saying that I believe
right,
that it's true. I'm just saying that, stepping outside of the game and watching the chess game go on the side, you know how you can see both players, you can see a move 10 times, before or whatever. I'm just
right.
looking at it, and I don't know. I really don't think that it's, they looking for any type of compensations, any type of money or anything.
Well, then why? What? I mean, if not, why would he? Why would he even bring it out? If he's not looking for compensation or money, I mean, is it for fame?
No, he said that when him and the council, he had got together with the council and brought, and this is allegedly, So I don't know, I wasn't there, but allegedly, he said that this is Poppy saying that him and the council did get together with Afrika Bambaataa and Africa, and the agreement was, as long as you go get help, I don't have no problem with you. The brother Poppy said that he still got love for him. He made sure that that's the reason why he took the video down, because it wasn't about no fame. He just said that he want him to help himself and go back and help the victims to try to, come with some type of closure in their life. I think that may be why some of them may be coming out right now. They might need some psychological closure, because all of them said, no homo right here in my speech, but it's like all of them said when they was trying to do something with a woman, they couldn't even perform because they had the thought of somebody else allegedly. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, on a psychological level, we gotta think on this like scientists, and understand that maybe this is a reason why, and then it's going to be more, because they just needed somebody to just pop in, just to, open the gates to just help them have some closure, to help them have some relationships with some women, help them with their life. You know what I'm saying? So allegedly, if he did it, so it's like that's somewhat of a reason, maybe why I think they doing it, because they all said that they don't want no money, they don't want nothing. They
Right.
just want him to help, himself and to help the victims and do something with the community. All of them
Well,
said,
King, that is the closure. When they went face to face, that was the closure right there. That was the closure right there. As far as them going face to face, that was the closure. As far as you stepping out, and taking it Hollywood, now you done open it back up. You don't you The closure was, King. If me and you, okay, King, listen to me. If me and you had a disagreement, or something happened, because I think I'm older than you. How old are you, King?
I remember my early 30s.
You in your early 30s. Okay, I'm 49. Okay, so being that situation might have happened with me and you back in the days, I would have been in my 20s. You would have been in your teens. The closure was when they went to counsel. That was the closure. After counseling, you don't go back and say, well, I'm going to make this public and this and that. That's not closure. That's not closure. That's saying, well, I'm going to open this back up. I'm going to put it out on the internet. I'm going to let news media know, bada bing, bada boom. So that's not closure to me. Just like
Jerry,
the sisters.
Jerry,
Yes,
Jerry,
yes. Go ahead. Yeah.
have you
Cookie.
ever
Cookie.
been molested by
Yeah.
anyone?
Yes. Look. Yes. A female family member.
Okay.
When I was 7. When I was
Okay.
7.
Did you
Okay. But
find closure with that person?
did I find closure?
Yes.
Not yet, because it's like I was 7. I was 7, and I was always into women anyways. So, but eventually I might talk with that family member.
Are
But
you aware of whether or not that person is continuing in their behavior with children?
no, I don't think so. I don't think, because I was 7 and she was maybe like 12 or 13.
Yeah,
So,
but she could still be molesting children or raping them.
you're right. I can't say
Because according
if I
to
know that or
all
not.
of these alleged victims, their main concern was that this did not occur that this didn't happen to any other child. That's why they came forward.
Right. That okay. But my point is the closure part. What King was saying about the closure part. The closure part.
That's part of the closure, making sure
right.
that no other child is victimized in this way.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because I was molested. Now, I was molested by my own father, but I was never able to seek closure because of the statute of limitations had run out. Because when it occurred, I was 5 years old. So there was no closure.
Besides the statute, see, everybody's still trying to get with this law stuff. Besides the statute of limitations, what about face to face?
Yeah, I attempted that when I was 15.
Okay.
And he punched me in the mouth, and he split my lip.
Okay.
And
now, how old are you now?
I'm 36. I haven't seen or heard from him since. But I'm not really interested in talking to him, because if he were in any way repentive, he would have sought me. He's the one that committed the crime. So it would be me that he would need to seek out. And he knows where I live. And even if he didn't, he knows that he could contact his sister, who is in contact with my mother. But he doesn't. So there's no point. Now, if this is true, and Bambaata did do these things, if Bambaata was truly repentive, he wouldn't be doing this anymore, and he would have sought out his victims and apologized to all of them and done something to...
Yeah, but they met face to face.
To atone for what he'd done. Now, I don't know whether or not the other 3 victims met him face to face. They didn't mention it. They may have, but I don't know. Poppy did. And according to Poppy, Bambaata claimed to be apologetic and claimed to want to get help and do atone for his crime, but he hasn't done so. So that is why, at least on Poppy's side, he has come forward. That's what he's saying.
Right. So when you're saying that Bambaata hasn't apologized or made amends, you have to realize that I just seen the article that he's denying this.
Yeah.
So I mean, so somebody's telling the truth and somebody's lying.
Yes.
So it's either or. And like you said, my thing with the closure part is when they sat at a table face to face and
but
said,
and he agreed. That's how you view closure. But each person is different. Each person's experience is different, and each person, it takes time to get over these things. I didn't even become aware that I had been abused until I was 12 years old, and then it took years for me to even realize that this was not my fault, that I didn't cause any of this, that I wasn't. And then on top of that, not only was I molested, but then several of my childhood friends were molested. So there was that I had to deal with, that I was a product of a pedophile.
Right. But you have to realize too, Cookie, when it comes to Hollywood and people trying to pin stuff on people, look at Tupac. Look at that allegation, and you have to realize Tupac could have got any woman he wanted, especially at the height of his stardom. And that person that came out and said, he touched me, he sexually molested, harassed me and stuff like that to make him go to jail. That all was a plan. You have to realize that Tupac and his family are and still are Black they're Black Panthers, and you have to realize that they even said that they would target them and their children. So you have to realize the agenda of people, the extortion of people, and if he was not a known artist and not a known not an icon, this wouldn't even made the news.
Oh, but because he is an icon, and if he did do these things, then that would be the reason why it is in the news. And we do know, and while yes, there is an agenda, a gay agenda, as I pointed out, especially towards the Black community, there's also a significant amount of debauchery, specifically in Hollywood. People who have far too much money and far too much access to things that most people wouldn't want access to, and they wouldn't even think of, because these people, they can do whatever they want, they have whatever they want, and they eventually get bored and they want to do something different. New, exciting.
Right.
And that's what I hear a lot of gay people say. Oh, I did it because it was different. I hear a lot of people who even just had gay sex. They may not be gay, but they had gay sex. Oh, I did it because it was different. And sex with a child, that's different. It's disgusting, but it's different. New.
Yeah. You're right as far as that, because you can't go around trying to impregnate boys, and just like you guys had mentioned about the statistics about pedophilia and stuff like that, and the psychological effect that it happens to a person once they get older and they really find out that wow, this wasn't a good feeling at all. But like I said, it's always two sides of the story, and somebody's telling the truth and somebody's lying.
So the gentleman Poppy, he had brought something up as far as the people or the council or the people that's calling the shots for the. I don't even want to bring that nation involved. Like I said, you know what I'm saying? It ain't even no shot towards them as a whole. But it was ran by some money hungry people. So those people may have just knew but understood that was gonna kind of cut off the money, and that's why they went ahead and kept it hidden because they trying to keep it. They don't want to cut off that resource or that fund. Because remember, and I don't want to say remember, I want to quote Poppy, because we gonna make. I think Cookie put the links in the back chat just in case you guys want to see the articles or the videos. But he said that Afrika Bambaataa always kept needy people around him, and if anybody know how to play chess with this shit, it is what it is. So it's like, I I don't know. It's a possibility there still.
Yeah, you right. There is a possibility. Like I said, that as far as my
Also,
opinion,
when Poppy claimed to have been present the night of he was present at the hospital on the night of the alleged stabbing, and he supposedly was threatened by a man named Ahmed against becoming involved in any sexual allegations against Bambaata. So, if this is true, even if why, if he were lying, and he knows that these people in Zulu Nation would at the very least beat the crap out of him, why would he lie?
Brother Jerry, if you talking right now, your mic is mute. You got your mic mute, so we can't hear you.
oh, okay, okay, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Can you? Yep. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. You can hear me?
Okay, okay. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. So, yeah, that's Cookie. That's the thing that I was mentioning, because when King asked me about why they're bringing it out now, is because um, if he is telling the truth, and he has um, he knows that it's going to be a wave, a tidal wave of people on Bambaata side and a small percentage of people on his side. And he's saying, okay, this is the truth, man. I know Zulu Nation is worldwide. I know this man is from the Bronx. I know this guy can bring the pain to me. Then um, some sociopaths, they'll I'm not saying this. I don't know this guy. I don't know this guy, but some sociopaths, I know some sociopaths I grew up with. They will lie, and like, just like drinking water. I mean, a sociopath, they'll do things they won't even care, man. It's like sociopaths are like, it's like a serial killer, man. It's just like, it's something they have to do. And like you said, Cookie, you that those agendas that come out, everybody's, most of the people that know Bambaata, or maybe affiliated with him, they might have an agenda behind them. Go ahead.
You said that last part you had kind of broke up a little bit. You said anybody that's affiliated.
Yeah, with Bambaataa, everybody's got an agenda. some people have an agenda to protect Bambaata. Some people may have an agenda to attack Bambaata. And like I said before about the Tupac situation, did you guys hear me about the Tupac situation? That when the girl accused him of being in the club and him doing what realized that that Tupac situation with that female, that was an agenda not from her. That was a agenda from the elite to take him out.
Right. Right. Okay.
But also, according to Poppy, he said that at least
Did you get
as many as at least as 30 young males of the New York Bronx district he saw being molested. At least. And then he later said it could have been more, like hundreds, thousands, I believe he even said.
And that was him saying he was being nice.
Yeah, he was saying he was trying to be nice by saying 30, but he said thousands.
I don't know. I just I'm all about, like I say, Black Star as a whole movement. We all about bringing solutions to this, and you know to bring this out to light. Like I say, I don't want to throw no melanated person up under the bus. But like I say, if the allegations are true, I want to make sure that it is out there, because like I say, I think because maybe New York maybe kind of heard rumors already that maybe the rest of the country really don't know. It's a lot of people that really don't know about this, and I ain't really, like I say, I'm not about trying to throw no brother under the bus, but I can never, this is a pioneer. So, I just want to figure out how, because it's gonna be watched, and it might be watched 5 or 10 years from now, and somebody might need a solution from this. So it's like, how us, as a community, how do we, either, I don't even want to say deal with them and try to figure out a way to, section them off, or how do we deal with that ideology or that sickness or whatever we want to classify it as, and how do we bring it to where it's, people are, at least our kids. I think somebody earlier had spoke on, teach our kids about pedophilia and homosexuality, so they can let us know and be comfortable for us, for them to tell us if anything is happening. I think just because somebody's in a position, we shouldn't be trusting our kids, over there. But, like the brother Poppy has said that, hey, his mom was raising like 6 or 7 kids or whatever, and working, and the stress of raising a household, and somebody comes along and want to be a big brother or, an inspiration in that child's life. Of course she's gonna look at it as some type of relief, and he's a rapper or a DJ, somebody that's basically popular. So of course she's looking like, yeah, he's a great example. So how many mothers did allow their kids around him or particular other people in general that I'm speaking, if the allegations is true? I'm gonna make sure I say that. But it's like, how do we, inform ourselves and our kids? How do we come to some solution? Because that's what I don't want to be, us ranting, and I want to come to some solutions on what.
One possible solution is, I've noticed, I've taken care of a number of children in my day, and with boys, they're constantly being taught these ridiculous ideologies of what it is to be a man. You have to be tough. You can't cry. You can't admit to any sort of pain. And so when boys are abused or in any way, they don't say anything because they're afraid that, oh, they won't be regarded as a man anymore. And that's part of the reason why these men who were supposedly abused, said that they didn't come forward in the beginning because, oh, they didn't want anybody to make fun of them. They didn't want to be accused of being gay.
I yield the floor. The floor is yield for everybody else. Going along with that, that's absolutely true, and that's why, you know, I keep saying a possibility because, in our community, man, you know, it don't matter what, even after the fact, even if you won $1 million after it, you get this kind of cloud over over you as far as that you a homo. Like the sister KK had mentioned earlier about somebody mentioning a Instagram or a tweet talking about Raz B when really that happened when he was young. He was, pressured and, whatever. I don't know even the whole circumstances of what happened with that in that whole group. But, it's like, how do we, we got to start communicating with each other. Um, I don't know, like anybody else got some ideas or some perspectives or some opinions about, how can we bring this to light because, to inform our kids and also figure out how to get rid of that sickness that's been in our communities. And then we gonna make sure that everybody go ahead and speak their part, and we gonna probably end off on this point right here, and make sure everybody get their point across clear. So no time limit on that.
Well, like I said, just educate your children on molestation or rape, homosexuality. Gotta be realistic with them. I think a lot of um, black parents these days aren't you're not being realistic with your kids. You're not informing them about the real world. You just give them a fairy tale. And, I'm not saying to ruin their childhood, but you should make them aware because you can't protect them and they're not going to be living in a bubble, a protective bubble. They're going to be out there. So you should inform them and prepare them for the world and the atrocities that are out there so that they can know and identify these things and report it or defend themselves or know how to avoid a situation where they can be taken advantage of and hurt.
Most deaf, sis. At the end of the day, it's communication. With everybody. This is a Black Star Kickback. I appreciate the brother Jerry coming through. We might have a part two of this without the subject of African Bambaataa because these two things that's is kind of something that is in our community that we do need to come to some type of solution. We do need to come to some type of closure so we can move on as a whole cohesiveness. So and we might do this again maybe a week or maybe 2 weeks from now as this is a topic and bring everybody that was here tonight back on the panel as far as their views on it and how we can help it as far as our community, as far as that is something that's hurting on a psychological level that's probably hurting us on another, it's all type of levels that's being hurt on our community. But that's one aspect of it as far as a lot of black men afraid to come out and afraid to expose some things or afraid that they are going to be labeled as such and such when they probably didn't even know what was going on at that time of period. And a lot of black sisters that's maybe had situations that happen and they just need some type of closure. So maybe this is a topic that we can build on and help some other people that's watching this video later to come to some closure for themselves because I'm pretty sure that maybe there's some victims out there that maybe are watching or listening. And like I say, this is allegations. We don't know if it's true. No shots towards the Zulu Nation. Much respect to those brothers and sisters that is warriors. I appreciate the brother Jerry, KK, my sister Cookie, Cordell, the brother Malik. Please plug anything that you have out there going on as far as any videos or your page or anything like that. I appreciate you as far as being a ex-member of the Zulu and at least giving us some type of history that as far as the nation.
Peace, brother. Um, you can hear me?
Loud and clear, bro.
Okay. Yeah, I have I have some videos on Sinetta Television. Um, that you can hit me up on Google Plus. I'm actually banned from Facebook right now. But you can Google Plus me. My name on his brother Malik. But I'm working on doing a a black and brown power conference. That's primarily my target right now, and just working in the community. But on, I wanted to say this before we leave. This homosexual agenda, and it's a epidemic plague that's hitting. I had read a statistic that I want to say within 30 years that 65% of black males in this country will be homosexual. I was watching earlier a documentary that was done, and I was appalled. My family's from Cuba, and the documentary was on Cuba, but what it was about was homosexuality in Cuba with these two women that do music, real good music, and very anti Fidel Castro. And it was, from what I saw, I was like disgusted within 2 minutes of watching it. There's an agenda. It's a global agenda, and the agenda is that the white people have always been the minority. They've never been the majority, never, and it's never going to happen. Especially when you have people that are having relations with white men or white women producing children. That child is no longer white. So they're going to be wiped out. But the problem is that when you have capitalism, which is white supremacy, and you have a thing called liberalism, which is a component, as much as some may want to deny it, it is of white supremacy that is being indoctrinated that it's okay to be gay. I remember some years ago in New York, they had made a SpongeBob cartoon that they had showed to the students. I want to say it was about 2003, 2004, and in it was basically showing how SpongeBob and his friend, the starfish, are lovers. So they used that to indoctrinate these kids. It's something that has to be taken seriously, because at the end of the day, what this is population. If you have two people that's with each other of the same sex, that group of people is not going to produce, is not going to exist. And it's something that, you look in the times of physical slavery, the slave master would have sex with the man, primarily the dominant man, and have sex with a man in front of the family, and would do lewd sexual acts to everybody. This is a psychological thing where it's a cycle. If you're in a household where there was drug use and alcoholism, and this cycle continually goes, maybe not everybody that next generation will do it, but you're gonna have a few people in the family that do it. If they don't do it, you're gonna have people that suffer something psychologically from this. It's the same thing. There's no difference here, and the only way that it could fully be eradicated, in my opinion, is, and I think that the problem to a lot of things that would be eradicated is the fall of capitalism, white supremacy. But now the problem is that people have been affected by it, and people will still emulate that. Case in point, when the Africans here were taken back to that settled what is present day Liberia, the Africans that went into Africa repeated a lot of the same things that were done to them here by the slave masters. So it's a thing of undoing mental shackles, and it's going to be a long process. This isn't going to be an overnight thing, but this is why it's important that, as the nation of guys on earth teach, each one teach one. We got to teach the babies, and that's where it starts at. You know what I mean? Like when the Panther Party was considered the greatest threat to the United States government by J. Edgar Hoover, it was because they had the free breakfast program. Now, why was that a threat? Because now you have youth that they're being fed physical food, they're being taken care of, and they're being educated about the system. So now you're going to have a bunch of young people growing up with that revolutionary mind, and that scares the establishment. So I think what I would reiterate is just that go and work in your communities with, not to say you got to join an organization, but to work with organizations for several different things. It could be people who are the victims of homicide, the family. It could be, you have mentioned Planned Parenthood. Educating the people about Planned Parenthood and why does Planned Parenthood, why are they only really in certain places? All this stuff is an agenda. So just to be involved in a community to educate, I think that's the first thing that could be done. And realize that this is so it's definitely an epidemic, and it's everywhere. I mean, I've been locked up before, and most of the guys that you probably see on the block, and you think that they're tough, most of them are gay.
Exactly.
And it's sick, man. It's sick, and it's there's no, the sister I mentioned earlier about teaching these children about homosexuality, and I agree with her. Why are we teaching them about homosexuality? I can understand you teach them, like, okay, look, if somebody touches you here, does this, tell your parents. That I can understand, but going into the details on what it is against the laws of nature, and not trying to sound religious. I'm not religious, but it's logic. You know what I mean? Like, everything is governed by the laws of the universe and laws of nature. Everything operates a particular way. If homosexuality was meant to be, a woman would not have the reproduction system that she has, and her body would not do the things that she does monthly. There wouldn't be a womb. The man would not have, his body would not be made in the way it was made to perform the things that it's meant to do. You know what I mean? It's just, but in today's society, and this is the problem, is that America, the Western, is very liberal. It's very liberal, and that's the problem with liberalism. because capitalism embraces liberalism, because there's profit that's made off of it. You know, Ellen DeGeneres, talk show host, she's a lesbian. You think that they don't look at it and say, oh, she's a lesbian, whatever, but she's going to attract a crowd. They're going to profit off of that. It's America at the end of the day. All this stuff boils down to money. This is the basis of capitalism. White supremacy is economic classism. This is the basis of it. It was the basis of slavery. And so, you know, I've seen the interview when the brother was talking about, oh, you know, I went ahead and did this because I wanted my music to get out. That's that sick thinking, because he may have not known it. He may still not know it, but you've been mentally sodomized, indoctrinated with capitalism, that you would stoop to the lowest thing to try to do something for the basis of money. And the ironic part is, what he wanted, he didn't even get, and he mentions that in the interview.
Most def, bro. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. KK, Cookie, y'all want to add something to the conversation to end out the show?
I just want to impress the importance on protecting our kids and being aware to the various aspects of psychological warfare that is being waged against us. There are a lot of different things that a lot of our people aren't aware of, and things that I only became aware of as of a few months ago. So I don't have children, but if I were to have children, I definitely would make sure that they were not going to be exposed to anything that would lead them into something that is not emotionally or physically healthy for them. And a lot of our people are not careful enough. They've bought into the system too much. They don't see anything wrong with this or that, and they want to look for excuses to explain their behavior, even using our own African history to explain their degenerative behavior, while not using logic, not looking at science, or they use science but they twist it. But the bottom line is that if anything that is positive will represent growth, will represent life, and if it doesn't do that, then it's not good. There's no purpose. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, I appreciate that, Cookie. Brother Jerry, you got something to end the show off with your last thoughts?
Yeah. I just want to say that as far as the topic today, because you have to realize, I don't know, you know, they say that there's a statement that everybody has a homosexual in their family. So, and, you know, I don't want to say, you know, I hate the people, because I have family members that that are like that, and I still, you know, I still love my family members that are like that. I don't like the act, but I still love my family. You know, if one of my family members was about to get jumped, and I stand there and say, well, you know, he's like that, so you guys can get jumped. I'm not gonna let that happen. So, you know, this was a good topic. This was a good subject, and we had some good input. We had some good opinions, and like I said, my closing statement is, my hope is that this can be cleared up. My hope is they can get an understanding and my hope is that they can get closure, and this chapter can be closed out of Afrika Bambaataa out of his life, because like I said, when they came out, I was in my teens, so I looked up to them as far as being the pioneers, being the ones that broke radio as far as getting hip hop on the radio. That they were one of the pioneers that said, hey, we're gonna do this, and this is how we're gonna do it, and we're gonna take over the streets, and we're gonna we're gonna make sure that these people from the streets, or these young cats from the street, they have something to do instead of being in a gang or getting involved in drugs. So like I said, my closure statement is, in my opinion, I hope that this chapter can be closed, and everyone could go left. He goes left and they go right, and they call it a day. That's my thing. Thanks.
I want to say I appreciate everybody for coming out and showing support. That's the first thing. Second thing, I feel like if you do live here in the United States of America, it's one in every family, no matter what topic it is. It's one in every family. So, I can understand exactly where you're coming from with that, the brother Jerry. You know what I'm saying? As a whole, like you say, I really hope that the situation is the truth. And we did build tonight. I'm more than likely we are going to have a part 2, and as far as this subject matter, as far as homosexuality and pedophilia, and maybe how we can kind of heal that process, or maybe help some people out with some problems that they have. Because, like I said, we're about solution, and we want to try to figure out a solution for our community without any outside influences or hands involved in it. And if we can kind of inspire anybody by having this panel and this video, I hope that if it's just one person, I feel like we all just did our job as far as the the duty of whatever his task is that we have down here. And on that note, like I say, I appreciate everybody coming out. I hope all the viewers will tune in again when we have this topic and subject. And we will continue to research, because we are scientists, we are researchers, and we don't just go off of word of mouth or rumors. And we'll wait this out as far as that brother and his situation, as far as the Zulu Nation. Again, I have much respect as far as everything that y'all laid down, as far as the foundation, as far as the community, and the things that you have done, the organization, as far as the nation has done for the community. And it's no disrespect to that nation. I want to make sure that's clear. It was all about just enlighten some people to some situation that was going on as far as current events, because that's what we do handle here at Black Star, current events, and things, and changing thought patterns and paradigms. So and we are in control of that. So on that note, I appreciate everybody coming out, and we will be ending the show now.